Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
WinnersBet, we don't just enjoy our punt, we live for it. WinnersBet is 100% Aussie owned and we love all things racing. Up for a tote? Win and get the highest payout across the 3 national TAB totes for all winning bets on Australian gallops. And we'll pay out on both winners if your horse loses in a protest during any Australian gallop or harness. Support your local WinnersBet. Go to winnersbet.com.au now. Gamble responsibly.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years. But not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
Roof racks, bull bars, camping gear, fridges, car care products. Have we got your attention? With over 20,000 products available online globally, Vehicle Accessories has every vehicle accessory you can think of and more. Conveniently browse through our catalogue by specific car model or overall category. Get up to 15% off store-wide by using the code FNR at checkout. Head to vehicle-accessories.com.au. That's vehicle-accessories.com.au.
The Night Train is brought to you by St Andrews Hotel, 128 Nicholson Street, Fitzroy. Beautifully crafted, cosy and intimate spaces for your drinking and dining experiences.
I think the Knights, their time has arrived. I think last week, the 10-man performance in the preliminary final was absolutely exceptional, so I'm going for the Knights.
When you talk of Knights, it's a real fighting team.
Buskuk into the back of the net. Melbourne Knights take the lead, 1-0. Melbourne Knights will win the Doherty Cup.
Croatia looking for a finals berth. That's it! The Croatia fans salute the goal that could be so vital.
And good evening, Knights fans. Welcome back to the Night Train, where we'll be discussing everything and anything Melbourne Knights. Once again, I'm your host, Anthony Zovac, and joining me once again in studio, calling my co-host for the year, Josh Parrish. Josh, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Zovac. It was a tough pill to swallow on Friday night, but always good to be with you on a Monday night for the Night Train regardless.
Look, your week gets a little bit better when I get to start with a good bloke like Joshy here every Monday night. Once again, we've got a massive show for you tonight. We'll be recapping our juniors and women's results from the weekend, going around the grounds, discussing our result from Friday night, and a bit of a pump up for the home game this Friday. That brings us into the midpoint of the season, Josh. Can you believe we're nearly halfway through the year?
It's absolutely flown by, and it seems like yesterday we were talking about the season opener.
Yeah, I'm still sort of pinching myself. I can't quite believe exactly how quickly this year has gone. It's been a bit of a roller coaster at points through the early part of the season. But, I think we've had a pretty good start to the year.
I think Knights fans have gone through every possible emotion so far.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit of a common thread for us. We're quite often on an emotional roller coaster down at Summer Street, but it does keep things fresh. It keeps things interesting. You never know quite what's going to come your way. It keeps you on your toes, Josh.
Well, I guess Friday night completed the set, and hopefully we can turn things around to what they were like on match day 1.
Yeah, well, exactly. Let's, with
come full circle.
Port Melbourne's not far off again to get us going for the reverse fixtures for obviously the first half of the year. But, I think we're not looking too shabby to this point of the season.
Look, the result aside, I think any Knights fan would have taken the latter position.
Oh, definitely.
Handed it to them. The injury is obviously not ideal, and that's a serious mitigating factor that I think we're going to keep bringing up tonight. But, based on the improvement, I think it's important to retain a little bit of perspective.
Yeah, context is going to be something that I'm probably going to talk about a fair bit later in the show when we are discussing the game from Friday. But, I suppose we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. As always, we'll kick things off by saying a quick thank you to all of our fantastic sponsors, starting with I&D Group, Living Gems Lifestyle Resorts, Melbourne Croatia Soccer Club, the Australian Croatian Clubs of Melbourne and Geelong, Adcon Group, Evolve Reinforcement, Empire Global, and once again, the show's sponsor, St. Andrews Hotel down on Nicholson Street there. Now, I'm going to give him a bit of a pump up again because, Tony was on the show last week and he didn't quite pump himself up as much as I think he probably should have. But, Josh, we bring him up on a fairly regular basis. Mate, the food's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a sensational joint for just your casual pop-in pub meal.
Definitely.
Or for your big slap-up dinner and an event. It's a great location. It's a really nice setting. And the food is absolutely sensational.
Food is fantastic. We'll move things on with our junior results from the weekend. The Mini Roos had their round 4 kickoff with a 4-1 win by the under-8s over Keilor Park. Under-10s Ivan with a 5-2 win over Bringbank Stallions. Under-10s Jack with a 3-1 win over George Cross. So wins all round for the Mini Roos.
Nice.
The under-11s had a bye. So well done to the Mini Roos. Round 5 for our under-12s and 13s, with the under-12s teams both having a bye. The under-13s, A with a 6-1 win over Westside Strikers, I believe. Yeah, well done to the boys. Great win. The NPL teams, the under-14s with a 3-0 loss to Green Gully. The under-15s with a 4-2 win over Melbourne Victory. Good on you, boys. The under-16s with a 2-1 loss to Moreland City. And the under-17s with a 2-0 loss to the Essendon Royals. So a bit of a mixed bag results from across the juniors, but some good signs there from the Mini Roos. It looks like some good little youngsters running around the club. The under-8s bounced back quite well. No potential refereeing decisions going their way this week. There has been a bit of talk around the club about the refereeing down at the under-8s level.
Well, it's always controversial on the under-8 sideline.
I'm sure.
Most invested fans in the whole of Victoria, I think.
Without a doubt. Now we'll give the women's a quick recap. The Mini Roos girls with a 10-2 win over Spring Hill Stallions, continuing a fine form by the Mini Roos over the weekend. The VPL round 5, the Knights girls, with under-12s with the bye, under-14s with the bye. The reserves with a 3-0 loss to Southern United, and the seniors with a 4-0 loss to Southern United. So the girls still chasing their first win for the year, but I'm sure it's just around the corner. Just quickly as well, the girls are playing in the next round of the Night Cup this week on Thursday night at the club at 7:30. So for anyone interested coming down to support our women's team, the game will be held at 7:30 this Thursday night against Avondale. So hopefully the girls can get a good result against the Avondale, like we're hoping to at home as well, a bit later on in the year.
Well, I actually saw Avondale play on Saturday, the women's team.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was down. They had a breast cancer fundraiser we covered over the weekend, and me and Lockie were rostered on for the South Melbourne NPL game for Football Victoria as well. So we went down and caught a couple of games. They had to have an exhibition match because the Maidstone United withdrew from the league, so we weren't going to play against them. So they played against Spring Hills, and they beat them 5-1. I think the player to watch out for is someone who'd be very familiar to people who followed the Knights women's team, and Kat Sikic. She scored a hat-trick. And, coming up against a former club, she'll be a tough one to stop.
Oh, she'll definitely be up and about, but I'm sure the girls will be up to the task. So, again, anyone interested in coming down, that'll be Thursday night, rather, at 7:30. So come on down and support the girls in what I'm sure will be an absolutely massive game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have some knockout football to cover.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Look, traditionally the Knights have been a pretty good team in the Cups, obviously this year withstanding, but, hopefully the girls can continue the rich vein of form our club has had in Cup competitions, especially over the last few years.
Yeah, it's going to be a big occasion and a bit of a rivalry, former players coming up against their old club. There's all sorts of storylines.
You love to see it. The VPL and NPL just keep on giving out these wonderful storylines to follow. Just to give the under-19s and the under-21s a quick recap with the results. The under-19s with a 4-4 draw with Bentley, and the under-21s with a 4-1 win. Now, it has been brought to my attention by Thomas Governor and the coach. I've actually missed the scores for the under-21s and under-19s the last couple of weeks. So my apologies to everyone involved with both teams. So this week I'll be giving you a bit more of a deep dive on the under-19s and the under-21s from the weekend. So the under-21s suffered their first loss in 5 weeks, going down 4-1 to second place Bentley Greens last Friday night. Even with an undermanned squad, players missing through injury or being elevated to the seniors, the scoreline definitely flattered the opposition as the boys started very brightly but didn't capitalise on their dominance in the first 25 minutes. Two goals in quick succession. The second via a careless penalty conceded saw Bentley go into halftime with a 2-goal buffer after a dubious offside call disallowed goal just before halftime, which would have brought the score back to 2-1. The Knights started the second half well, but were awarded a pen 10 minutes in, but unfortunately for our boys it was saved and seemed to flatten the spirits of the squad a little bit. Bentley gained a bit of momentum, scoring a further 2 goals with a late consolation from Nick Katsakis, making the final score 4-1. Despite the loss, the under-21s remain in 6th spot on their league table. So, not a bad result, all things considered, from the 21s. Oh, look, it's never easy losing 4-1, but, from all reports on the game, the scoreline definitely did flatter the opposition. Boys probably a bit unlucky in patches not to potentially finish a couple of chances. I mean, you have a penalty saved. That sort of doesn't help in terms of when you're trying to get yourself back into a game. But I'm sure they'll bounce back this coming week with the home fixture to Eastern Lions.
If there's ever an incentive to perform in the under-21s, it's probably now, given the injuries in the first team squad. They might be called up if they put their best foot forward. And
you look, in the last couple of weeks, I mean, we'll get to it later, but Ollie Chuckadon obviously called up into the squad for the weekend's fixture. Unfortunate injury to Jack Muth saw him come on, and, for a first game, the scoreline, he didn't really make any mistakes. I think he made a pretty good account of himself from his first hit out with the seniors. Congratulations on him again for getting his debut. You've had Dor Jock step up in the last couple of weeks. Obviously scored the winner last week against South Melbourne, and he's in the squad again. Started up front for us on Friday night. So there's definitely opportunities for the pathway to the seniors at the Knights is definitely something that if you show that you're good enough, you'll be given a chance.
Yeah, and that's the philosophy that underpins the club in a lot of ways. It's not the case that the transfer window opens and the club just signs 5 senior players to plug all the gaps. It's next man up from the youth ranks, and that's the way Knights have always done it. Yeah,
correct. And, I think when you look back across the history of our club, through various points, some of the players that we've been able to bring up, at any given point of the squad, there's always at least 2 or 3 players at a minimum in your sort of senior, best, say your first sort of 13, 14 in the squads who came through our junior ranks. There's not too many other clubs in the NPL who are operating under a similar sort of philosophy for mine.
No, not really. I mean, most of them are over eager to dip into the pockets and bring out the checkbook, which I mean, we've seen him from Eastern Lions recently, which is
This week's
crazy. I mean,
5 new signings.
you know, you thought this was the most under-resourced club in the league. Maybe they've suddenly found a new sponsor or something. But
Might have had a bit of a win on the pokies over the weekend.
the multi came through. All the talent coming in the door at Eastern Lions. So.
And the under-19s had a game 2 days later with the majority of players from Friday's 21s game backed up and played on Sunday in an entertaining 4-4 draw. After going down 3-0, the boys dug deep and got a goal back just before half-time and continued the momentum, swinging early in the second half with another 2 goals to level the game at 3-3. Bentley stopped the run and took the lead, taking the game to 4-3, but the boys showed character with a late equaliser to make it 4-4. Goals scored by Jackson Maslak, Tommy Corlich and Jamie Bubbich, so congratulations to all 4 of the goal scorers. 8 goals in a game. Not something you see too regularly.
Sensational. What a match.
What a match. Almost cursing I didn't get down on Sunday to see it. That would have been something special to watch. Now, massive credit to the entire U-team squad, especially the boys that have been doubling up and playing 2 games, sometimes on the same day, to ensure we can field the team at a time where injuries have really taken a toll. And from the coach, Tomislav Goverdan, just a congratulations to under-21s player Ollie Chakarun, who made his debut for the seniors on Friday night, a player that has spent his entire career at the Knights. Same as his brother, who's obviously a goalkeeper, been in the senior squad now for quite a few years. So,
One club player, you love to see it.
One club player, you love to see it. And, you know, potential for Knights to field 2 brothers in the same squad again. That's something. Look, it's happened a couple of times across our history, but that really is something special, you know, to have 2 brothers in the same senior squad. You know, imagine you get them both on the pitch at the same time. You know, Harry's had a cameo now as a striker. Imagine you bring him on and his brother gives him an assist.
Well, you know, goalkeepers scoring goals, it's not unheard of.
Not unheard of, you know.
Even in the Premier League.
Even in the Premier League it's happened, you know. Allison with a great header. Unfortunately.
It's inspiration for Big Harry to get up there again.
Look, you know, maybe just rip something like a David James, Harry, get a number 1 shirt made up for you, just keep it on the bench. Get someone else to come on in goals. And
I'm not sure how well Breezy's shirt actually fit him. It was a little bit constricting and maybe impaired his performance against South.
Possibly. So we'll just go for a quick recap of the results from over the weekend. Port Melbourne with a 2-0 win over Green Gully on Friday night. Josh, for me, a bit of a shock. I really thought Gully were coming out with the chocolates on Friday.
Yeah, look, in the station tipping comp, I tipped a draw in this one. I was balancing the fact that, you know, Green Gully have all that talent versus Port Melbourne have a phenomenal home record, and it was the home record that apparently was more important.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a good balance in that squad. There's no, like, one-star player that... I mean, you know, Chris Duggan was in good goal-scoring form, but it's not all about him.
Yeah,
and we saw that against Green Gully. They did enough. I think Gully have a habit of sort of hurting themselves sometimes and beating themselves.
Yeah.
You know, this can be quite temperamental, inconsistent squad, and they had a bit of an off day, and Port Melbourne punished them with ruthless efficiency, playing on their home pitch where they're so strong.
Yeah, look, and Port for me, especially at home this year, look, first round withstanding, you know, obviously we came out with a good win against them first up, but yeah, they're for me one of the probably more improved teams in the comp through this sort of second half of this sort of first half run of games.
Yeah, I think so. I think they've been playing a new system. A lot of the time it's a back 5 or back 3 with wing backs and 2 up front. It's a bit different to what they're used to in previous seasons where it was almost always 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
And it's working for them.
Definitely.
I think they've had a few teething issues with their, you know, playing the ball out of the back. They've got themselves into trouble sometimes. But now that the philosophy is starting to bed in, I think Piddock's got this side pretty well oiled, and it's just the away form that they have to address.
Well, look, lucky for us, we've got them away in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you're already taking care of them.
Taking care of them away
over
from home.
at JL Murphy. So
definitely
that one's out of the way. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness indeed. Dandenong City notching up their first win of the season with a 1-0 win over this week's opponents, Eastern Lions, Josh.
Mm-hmm. And I think their goal scorer might be taken from them very shortly.
Oh, really?
Intel that young Mr. Dibb has received an A-League offer.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when that will kick in. Maybe it's for next season. I'm not sure, but there's certainly interest there, and you can see why. It was a beautiful free kick, and finally after so much hand-wringing and disappointment, and they were leading in something like 7 out of their first 10 games and coughing up winning positions. It was crazy. They've finally got a win on the board, and you think that's just the ticket to turn their season around.
Oh, look, you love to see it, and you can just imagine the celebrations afterwards would have been absolutely magical. Would have paid a decent amount of money to be in the fly on the wall in the change room to hear Sasha's team talk after the game.
Absolutely. It would have been massive rev up.
Would have been absolutely
and
massive.
you know, Eastern Lions away is not an easy fixture. So.
No, definitely not. I think they're proving to be a much tougher opposition to this point in the season than I think a lot of people had them penciled down to be. And, you know, this week's opponents with 5 new signings, I'm hearing, Josh. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. I've struggled to reel them all off, but Marcus Demonche and Charlie Fry, a couple of the names joining the ranks. So, you know,
potentially
some investment there.
Some investment there, and I'm sure that'll make this Friday's home fixture just that little bit more scintillating.
Yeah.
Avondale giving South Melbourne their second loss on the trot with a 2-0 win. South with a few penalty shouts in this game, Josh.
Yeah, there was a lot of conspiracy talk on social media in the wake of this one. I thought, in fairness to Pascal Isnatis, it was a really tough call. I was calling this one with Lockie Flanagan, as I mentioned, and Matt Reid came in with a really risky sliding challenge on Marcus Schroen about 10 minutes into the game, and I think his studs just grazed the ball. Whether that's enough, whether he came through Schroen first, I saw differences of opinion on the timeline, depending on which team you were supporting. I think,
of course, that's normally how that sort of stuff goes.
I didn't think it was Stonewall by any means, and I might be in the minority there, but I don't think it was Stonewall penalty. But it certainly was costly for South because not only did they not get the spot kick they felt they were entitled to, which would have completely changed the game. If South goes 1-0 up and then they just set up shop, it becomes a whole different kettle of fish,
different dynamic
for Avondale,
and they've definitely proved to be a solid defensive team to this point in the season.
So not only did it undo potentially their entire game plan, and Schroen was playing up front, so there was quite a wrinkle for them tactically without Harry Sawyer in the team, who's done a ligament in his toe apparently, which is a really weird injury, but. Schroen actually went over in that challenge and damaged his shoulder somehow. So he tried to come back on, couldn't play through it, and gave the referee a spray and got a yellow card for dissent on his way out spectacularly. So he was off, and they didn't really have too many more ideas after that. Their best chance of the game came through him very early on before that. And in the second half, Avondale gradually turned the screws. Ben Jeeba went in for a silly challenge in almost the same spot where, Reid might have conceded a penalty in the first half, and Ziddy went down. Valentini scored from the spot. Then straight up the other end, silly challenge from Zinni, who just won the penalty for Avondale, just pushed Henry Hoare in the back, went straight over, got the wrong side of him.
Wasn't
totally brain dead. Bit of play. I think Zoran Markowski nearly had an aneurysm. And never mind, because Jerry Salados, South's penalty hero, as we know, stepped up, hit it with power, and Rory Bryan, with the trailing arm, just clawed it out of the top corner. One of the saves of the season. It was a fantastic stop. And then Avondale sealed it moments later with a shot off the crossbar from Valentini and Yusuf Ahmed being taller than everybody, just nodding it in. So it was a great game. Like, the second half was really end-to-end, really exciting. Even despite the negativity with which South had approached the first half, it really opened up as soon as Avondale scored, and it was a really good sort of top-of-the-table bout.
Yeah, definitely. And look, this is something we did discuss leading into the two South fixtures we played a couple of weeks back. They've had a... they had a tough couple of weeks coming up, starting obviously with the game against us. But now Avondale, I believe they play Bentley next week.
Yeah, and they're running into a buzzsaw, as we know.
As we know from Friday's fixture, they're running into probably the informed team in the comp. Their undefeated record, we've said many times on the show, I think flattered sort of where they were sitting and how they were playing, and undone by us last week, Avondale, and I'd be fairly confident saying Bentley would put them to the sword again next week if they keep the shooting boots they had on Friday on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, Avondale playing quite well. They've signed Mario Barcia, who's Team Wellington in New Zealand. He's an Argentinian player who's playing over there and I think won a title with them. But Team Wellington always wins the title, so it's not a huge feat. But he looked really good, and he's just the kind of stable holding midfield presence that they've lacked all season with the injuries they've had, and it allows Yite Towns to push further up the park, and he nearly scored the goal of the season contender on the swivel from the corner of the box and hit the corner of post and bar.
Corner,
crazy.
right next to the postage stamp you would have been aiming for, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an insane effort. So, they look really good, Avondale, I have to say, and that's going to be one to watch for sure.
Look, definitely Avondale looking like the informed team in the comp at the moment. I'd put them and Bentley sort of up there against each other at the moment. But moving on with the around the grounds, Hume City with a 1-0 win over Heidelberg. Probably one of the surprises of the round for me, Josh. I'd definitely penciled Heidelberg in for a win here.
Yeah, a bit of a turn up. Hume, they've had a really up and down season.
Yeah.
Really, really inconsistent. But they're starting to find something approaching form after, they've lost some players. Delic obviously went over to Dandy City. There was transfer interest from Asia in their goalkeeper, Michael Weir, which I believe is no longer happening.
Yeah.
So, that he's probably staying put, and that's a massive win for them.
Massive win for them.
And they've also, I think, been making overtures to bring Steve Hewitt back to the country, which would be huge.
That would be absolutely massive
because,
for them.
you saw the goal he scored at Summer Street last season. That guy is a magician.
Absolute bomb.
So I think the morale around the club is just starting to recover, and big win for them. It was a tight contest, but one long ball, one mistake at the back, and Josh Bingham's in for a goal.
That's it. And for me, probably the game of the round this week, Dandenong Thunder against Altona Magic. Dandy with a 3-1 win. Some, shall we say, late drama, Josh?
It was crazy. Do you want to recap sort of what happened?
Yeah, well, Dandy take the lead to go 1-0 up. Altona score in, the 89th minute to make it 1-1. And then Dandenong Thunder proceed to score a goal in the 93rd and 94th minute to put the game away at 3-1. And quite possibly, I think one of the calls of the season here we've got, it was something special, Josh. Have we got the audio?
Yeah, we do indeed. Let's have a listen to young Ollie Walker-Peel lose his mind.
Lifted up towards the back post, Bernardo over his head, central, and it's in! Parity lasted only moments! Ali Suleimani with the tap in, and George Andrews' reserve erupts. The referee checks his watch once again. The Thunder break away. It's a 3-on-2. Steering forward is Bernardo. Suleimani again. He's done it. 2 goals in stoppage time for Ali Suleimani. Means that all 3 points will stay with the Dandenong Thunder.
What a call, Josh. What a call. I'll listen to that, I reckon, about 6 times after the game finished.
I feel sorry for his vocal cords.
Oh, my God. I'm pretty sure the dogs in the neighbourhood would have been going absolutely nuts because the octaves he reached on that call were so bloody high. But what a call. And what a game, mate. Like, you think you're sitting there, if you're a Magic fan, you go, you pinch a goal 89th minute, you're thinking, we've wrapped the point up here. Good point away from home. And then 2 goals in stoppage time, something you don't see too often.
And Dandenong Thunder had 10 men.
Yeah.
When they,
I forgot. I didn't even mention that.
They had a really early red card.
Yeah. So
bloody bananas,
mate. Absolutely nuts. NPL, the gift that really does keep on giving. And to wrap up the round, Oakley with a 3-0 win over St Albans. Oakley really pushing on, as I think many of us expected them to do, sort of this point of the season, Josh.
I think they're really kicking into gear. They've made some new signings in the back line. They've brought in Chris Lucas, which gives them a great bench option in competition for 100%. Places. He's a quality footballer. I was really impressed with Aaron Williams when I saw him play against Thunder, and they've brought in another guy from New Zealand, just announced a day or 2 ago. So, they've really stocked up, and they've got some players back now. I think they're definitely still title contenders, and we'll gradually see them climb and contend in the next few weeks after a rough patch.
Yep, and obviously our result from Friday night, Bentley Greens with a 5-0 win over... 5-1, over the Melbourne Knights, which, to give you a quick recap of how the ladder sits, Avondale 2 points clear on top spot on 25 points. Bentley, second place on 23 points. South Melbourne and Heidelberg tied in third and fourth respectively on 22 points. Oakland sitting in fifth on 21 points, and the Knights rounding out the top six on 21 points. Also, Hume City sitting in seventh on 18 points. Port Melbourne sitting in eighth on 16 points, sorry. Green Gully in ninth on 15 points. Dandenong Thunder in 10th on 14 points. Eastern Lions in 11th on 9 points. St Albans in 12th on 9 points also.
With the terrible goal difference for St Albans, that's really hurting them.
The negative 20 goal difference, I think it really is going to be something that hurts them. Unfortunately for St Albans, I think they've, how many goals they scored this year? They've scored 6 goals this year.
That's grim.
Yeah, 2 came against us and 2 came against Dandenong City. So take from that what you will.
I guess we're not in a position to criticise, but...
No, look, after this weekend's result, I'm not really going to be talking about too many people conceding goals. But anyways, Dandenong City sitting in 13th, jumping up from bottom spot on 7 points, and Altona Magic rounding out last place on 6 points after that loss in probably the game of the round on the weekend.
Altona seem to find new and exciting ways to drop points.
Yeah, well, look, if you look at sort of their season up to this point, I don't think they've had a way they haven't lost a game yet.
Well, when you're onto your 4th head coach,
yeah, look, there's definitely some interesting things happening down at Altona, and really, you look at the squad they put together for the season.
I had them in the 6. I had them as contenders.
Oh, look, I didn't quite have them in the 6, but I had them sort of in that meaty section of the table, maybe between 6th and say 10th or 11th place. But you look at it,
that was also at a point where I thought King Kenny was signing for them, in fairness. So he's off in Malaysia banging in the girls for Pahang now. So.
Well, look, mate, if he's not coming tonight, stay in Malaysia. King Kenny.
Hey, I think you've got your own King Kenny now. So
This is true. But yeah, look, the Magic for me have been probably one of the disappointments from the year. You look at the squad they've managed to put together. But again, I think through 4 rounds sacking your coach, this is sort of the just desserts you get from that.
The Altona Magic Galacticos falling short of expectations.
Definitely. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll be recapping the game on Friday night, and we've got a few other things to get through for tonight. So we'll see you when we get back from the break.
Are you looking to raise money for your community club or charitable organisation? Club Fundraising is an Australian family-run business, and we pride ourselves in creating partnerships with clubs, helping build stronger communities. Our free online platform provides everything you need for a successful campaign. With a step-by-step interface and best-in-class payment options, Club Fundraising makes it easy for clubs and contributors alike. Revolutionise the way you fundraise. Start your free campaign today. Head to clubfundraising.com.au. That's clubfundraising.com.au.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Buying your electricity electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years. But not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
The Night Train is brought to you by St Andrews Hotel, 128 Nicholson Street, Fitzroy. Beautifully crafted, cosy and intimate spaces for your drinking and dining experiences.
And welcome back to the show. Now, to review the game on Friday night, the 5-1 loss to Bentley came at probably an inopportune time to be playing Bentley. They seem to have really played themselves into form over the last few weeks. They seem to really be hitting the ground, and as was made obvious by Friday night's result, you know, any team that scores 5, you're probably playing pretty decent football. But again, probably an unlucky time to be playing him, just sort of with the injuries we had going through the squad for Friday night.
Yeah, well, what can you say? I mean, you know, Bentley are really in form. They've got all their players back.
Yeah.
Iconis has turned into a playmaker suddenly in midfield.
Yeah, well,
sensational stuff. I mean, they really had their shooting boots on as well.
Oh, 100%.
I have to say, I think Iconis' goal was a complete fluke and it was a cross.
Look, I'm probably going to be backing that in as well, but you know, when they go in, you sort of get away with claiming.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, just go, oh no, let's not celebrate that one. It wasn't not like it didn't look brilliant.
Well, if that was me, I would have been running around like a headless.
Yeah. You know, you got to celebrate when fortune smiles upon you. But
yeah, 100%.
It didn't take away from, you know, how dominant that they were and how they really scythed through the nights, especially in transition moments. As soon as they won the ball back, they were playing forwards really quickly.
Yeah, they were.
I think there was just a little bit of a lack of mobility and a lack of urgency when Knights lost the ball to really stop the attacks. Like we've seen earlier in the season, on turnovers, there was a real counter press going on where, you know, the entire midfield would swarm around the ball and at the very least make them play backwards.
Yeah.
But often went straight back. And I just feel like the physical toll of the last few weeks, 2 massive games against South, so many injuries, and even if you're not injured and you're in the first team squad, it doesn't mean you're 100% fit at the moment.
No, that's right. You know, there's probably a few boys who are a bit underdone going into the game on Friday, but look, again, that's no excuse for conceding 5. You know, at the end of the day, Bentley were the better team. You know, but really when you look at the sort of 5 goals they scored, you know, the first couple, I'm not going to say it was lucky. It was probably, you know, maybe a 50-50 ball or 2 that went their way. They got done, you know, they've done pretty well to cut through us in transition, and you know, really, what more can you say? They put us to the sword on Friday night. You know, you move on from that and hope to bounce back this week, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, you know, Jack Marth going off injured early. It doesn't help.
That definitely doesn't help.
And he's had a real influence this season in terms of being a last-ditch defender who comes from left back or wherever he's playing and so sweeps up behind the centre-backs. He's got really good defensive instincts, and you know, missing him is actually a big blow. Even if you know, wasn't penciled in as a nailed-on starter to begin the season, he's become a really important feature of that defence. And you saw once he went off, he just didn't have anybody doing that. Once past the centre-backs, it was 1v1 all the way.
Yeah, look, you know, again, that's another injury over the last couple of weeks. You know, when you look at it, we've played basically 4 games in the last 2 weeks. You know, that's a lot of load to put on any squad. And then when you take into account the couple of injuries you got floating around, even then on Friday, the squad's probably, I'm not going to say thin, but you know, the squad we put out was probably, for mine, good enough to maybe get a draw on over the weekend. But you know, you get an injury in the first 15 minutes doesn't help. You know, congratulations to Ollie Truckadon for making his debut. You know, I don't think he really put. You know, it's hard to really grade someone when you've lost 5-1. But you know, for me, he didn't really do anything to dampen his case for going forward throughout the year. You know, I think he thrust into a situation like that, he done enough, especially as a debutant being thrown into a game like that. I think Bentley, when you look at how they played on Friday, they're just proving again why they've been one of the most consistent teams in the comp over the last, sort of through this spell over the last sort of 3 to 4 years. When they're on, they're clinical in front of goal. Really, you look at it, the first couple of chances they had, they were just clinical enough to put them away and really put us under a bit of pressure. Once they got a couple up, they really just put their foot down on the game, stamped down, and put their bit of authority on the 90 minutes, and they were the better team on Friday, Josh.
Yeah, they deserve their win, absolutely. I don't think there's any debate about that. I do like the way that they move the ball, and they're always very positive with it. There's a lot of dead possession in NPL games between the centre backs.
Yeah.
And they kind of abandon that a lot of the time and just try and get goals.
Push it forward,
And they're not shy about going direct if they have to. It's a possession focused team, but it doesn't mean it's a possession obsessed team.
Yeah, correct.
And Tolsey has got some real attacking weapons at his disposal. Their bench on Friday had Kieran Dover on it, and did Cornelia come off the bench? He's back, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got unbelievable attacking squad depth, and they didn't have that at the start of the year because of all the ridiculous injury runs they had. But now they're peaking.
Even you look at it, James Exidius is normally a regular starter for them.
Oh, one of the best right backs in the league.
Yeah, and he was on the point on
embarrassment of riches.
Embarrassment of riches at the moment, but. That is, I suppose, the yo-yo of the football world. Some people, a few teams had injuries early on in the year, and form, and that probably dipped for them. For us, we had a fully fit squad through the first couple of rounds, and now we've got a couple of knocks, and you take your medicine when it comes over. But again, look, I'm not putting too much doom and gloom on the result on Friday. Obviously, it's never easy losing 5-1, but really, I think there's not a Knights fan out there who, if you told them through the start of the year, would be sitting 3 to 4 points off top spot. Sitting in 6, you're in the 6. And we've had a couple of big wins this year. Look, ideally, you would have liked to have maybe gone, or not maybe, definitely would have liked to have gone further in the cup. But I don't think there's too many qualms with where we're sitting in the table at the moment. You look across the form of our last 5 games, you've got 3 wins, a draw, and a loss in the last 5. You've taken 10 points from the last 5 fixtures. I don't think you can really have too many complaints with how we're tracking at the moment.
Yeah, just on the Bentley thing, I remember when I was calling the game against Gully, they made a double sub and brought off, I think it was Bowman and Sewell, and brought on Exidius and Alexander.
Yeah,
like that's depth, that's strength in depth.
That's squad depth, and look, that's. Again, they're a solid squad. They're a solid team. They've won 5 on the trot now. They're looking really, really solid coming into. I think they're going to be one of the teams to watch, especially when the finals roll around. But I'm not taking too much of a negative out of Friday night. Look, the performance wasn't great, but I think even in the performance, there's glimpses of positive things to take out of that.
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the positives that you saw on Friday? Because, obviously we're harping on about the negatives and making a few excuses, which I think are well founded. 120 minutes and penalties against South, and then playing them again 3 days later.
3 days later.
And then, having such a weakened squad. I don't think anyone was really expecting a thumping win on Friday.
No, well, look, I backed us for a win last week just because I think that's my sort of blind faith that we're just going to get up every week, even when I know we probably won't. But for me, look, when you look at the couple of positive I'd take out of Friday, you got another 90 minutes into players like Dordrock, Trevor, Sekamula, Zvetslut had another run in the middle, Chuckwood made his debut at left back. I think he looked okay. Mm-hmm. When you look at it, a lot of this playing squad has been put together this year. So anytime you're getting a different combination of people playing together in different positions, that's only going to make you stronger, I think, going forward. Throughout the season, a few players maybe being pushed out of position to fill spots at the moment, but I think that only makes you stronger going forward because you sort of know where you stand, and if that need does come up again, you've got a bit more information about where you can sort of shuffle people.
Yeah, that's true. I do feel as if Trevor Zvetslut is better served at centre-back at the moment because he's still on his long way back from that knee injury and still finding confidence in his body, and I just felt he was lacking a little bit of agility. You can see his class on the ball.
Oh, for me.
And did he give the assist for the Albano goal? Was that him?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he does contribute in that respect, but when you've got McGarry alongside him, there's not a lot of mobility in that partnership.
Yeah, and again, I think, look, you're a bit limited in who you can pick in the midfield.
Yeah,
obviously, Juzza was injured over the weekend. Breeze is out as well.
But personally, I'd rather have Jokovic in midfield than Zvetsa. I'd rather switch them around. It's just because Nicola will bother people.
Yeah, look,
for lack of a better word,
he does have a tendency to bother people through the middle of the park. Look, for me, again, that's maybe something that Bear Bitch will decide. But again, look, I'm going to back in the decisions he's making. Like when you look at it, he's made through the preseason, he maybe signed a couple of people and brought a few people into the club that would have raised a few eyebrows. But
and maybe that's reactionary for me. I mean, Bebic has made a lot of ballsy decisions with regards to his midfield selection.
Yeah.
It was only a few weeks ago that I was praising him for selecting McGarry and Giselle, two ball players that most Knights coaches wouldn't have done. So maybe that's short-term thinking on my part.
Oh, look, for me, I'm going to back him in if he thinks that's the way the midfield should be going. I'm backing in his decision making throughout the year. It's gotten us to this point and gotten us a few big wins for mine. But again, I think it's only going to get better as the season goes on. Any next few weeks, you start to get that squad really, really back and firing. I think this weekend's probably a good game to sort of have that first half of the year finish up with Eastern Lions at home. I'd be, I'm pretty happy with sort of where we're sitting at the moment. Ideally, you'd like to be higher up the table, but mate, if someone had offered me sixth spot through to the halfway point of the year at the start of the year, I'll shake your hand and thanks for coming.
And it's so tight as well. It's not a big tight. It's not a big gap.
When you
couple
look
of
at
wins
between Avondale's 2 points clear of second on 25 points, but from them to us, it's 4 points.
Yeah.
And even below that, really between first and eighth on the table, it's like 7 points, mate. It's really up for grabs for anyone at the midpoint of the season, basically.
Yeah, and I think this is an eminently recoverable position, but if the Knights are going to turn it around quick sharp, I think there's a couple of players that, could contribute a little bit more in terms of their... I'm not talking about effort, I'm talking about kind of confidence in themselves. And one in particular, I've kind of noticed a little bit of a drop-off from in terms of how he backs himself is Mo Sumaoro. I just feel as if, go back to round one, rewind to that Port Melbourne game, and I thought that guy was going to be the best player in the league. And obviously it's a small sample size, but every time he got the ball, he was taking on his marker. Yeah. And now, he's getting benched in games even with, a thin squad.
Yeah.
He's coming on and he's passing backwards and sideways to the midfield and the defenders. I just feel like the guy needs a rev up in terms of, he's got the skill set to be able to run at people. And I don't know if it's just him being physically jaded, not being able to keep up that level of intensity, or whether it's a confidence shortage. But I just feel as if Mo can really provide this team with a boost if he kind of tries to put them on his back a little bit and do the individual thing that he's so good at, which is beating his man and getting across in.
Oh, look, I think for me as well, Mo, especially in that first week, was a bit of an unknown quantity in the league. Knights fans didn't really know who he was, let alone anyone else in the opposition. And for me, first 2 weeks, he was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. But, with the technology and the level of coaching you're getting in the NPL, people are really doing their homework. And I think for me, he's probably one that's getting studied fairly heavily on how to shut him down. So I don't think, look, for me, he's still been probably one of our better players up to this point of the season.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think the whole squad's obviously got room to grow. Everyone's got potential to be playing better than they are, even the ones who are on a tear at the moment. So, I'll be backing everyone in for a big bounce back performance this week. Eastern Lions at home this Friday should be a massive game to finish off the first half of the season. I'm looking for a big bounce back performance here, Josh, and I think the boys are going to come up with the chocolates.
Yeah, look, Eastern Lions not that strong away from home. They play a pretty direct brand of football. I think they're obviously limited. New signings coming in, that raft of new acquisitions may switch things up a bit, but I think they're going to stick to the tried and tested formula. And it's up to Knights to break them down. And I think, this team is very capable of doing that.
Oh, definitely.
You're going to have a little bit more time on the ball, especially on that big Summer Street pitch than you did at Bentley, where it was quite hectic to say the least in midfield, and I think that will play into Knight's hands. And I'm not expecting it to be easy, but I reckon I'm backing the Knights in. I'm going to say, scoreline wise, it's hard. I'm going to say 2-0.
I'm going with a 2-0 win as well. I'm pretty confident that the squad's going to bounce back. Any need for motivation, I think, gets sorted out by that result on Friday. You know, the boys came over to clap the fans off after the game, and you could see they were hurting just as much as all of us were.
Big reaction. That's
Big reaction. And look, I think you're going to get that. You know, there seems to be a real togetherness in the squad this year, and I think that's been evident to this point of the year, that the boys have really bought into what Bebic is sort of his philosophy and ethos on how he wants them to play. I think everyone's bought into that system. There's a real team atmosphere around, and I'm backing them in for a big performance this Friday. And look, I think there's probably a couple of players who I think this week are really going to step up and maybe push forward for a case to why they should be cemented in that starting 11.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for some of the fringe members of the squad, some of the under-21 boys. Yeah. Some debutants potentially. I mean, it all depends on the physio room and who can get back in time and so forth. But opportunities abound, and there's no shortage of motivation, of course.
No, definitely not. We're going to go to a short break, guys. When we come back, I'll have my 3-2-1 for Friday night's result, and we've got a couple of clips we're going to show you before we wrap the show up.
Are you looking to raise money for your community club or charitable organisation? Club Fundraising is an Australian family-run business, and we pride ourselves in creating partnerships with clubs, helping build stronger communities. Our free online platform provides everything you need for a successful campaign. With a step-by-step interface and best-in-class payment options, Club Fundraising makes it easy for clubs and contributors alike. Revolutionise the way you fundraise. Start your free campaign today. Head to clubfundraising.com.au. That's clubfundraising.com.au.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years. But not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
At WinnersBet, we don't just enjoy a punt, we live for it. WinnersBet is 100% Aussie owned, and we offer football markets on over 40 competitions around the world. Earn rewards points for every dollar you wager and redeem them as bonus bets. Whether it's A-League, Premier League or international football, WinnersBet is your new one-stop shop for football mad punters. Support your local. Head to winnersbet.com.au now. Gamble responsibly.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
The Night Train is brought to you by St Andrews Hotel, 128 Nicholson Street, Fitzroy. Beautifully crafted, cosy and intimate spaces for your drinking and dining experiences.
And welcome back to the show, Knights fans. Now, 3-2-1 for Friday night's game. If I'm honest, Josh, probably the hardest one I've had to do since the loss to St Albans.
It's a toughie.
It is a toughie, but
I think there's a clear 3.
There's a clear 3 for me, but we'll start with the one. I've given Albano the 1.
Yeah, he scored.
I mean, he scored, so that's
good finish.
Good finish, good run on the ball to get into the position to score. Yeah, he got a goal.
I think he'd be the first to admit it wasn't his best game, but
yeah, look, I'm no doubt he'd put his hand up and say he's definitely had better performances, but he scored, so I'll give him the 1. I've given Trevor Zwetsloot the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I thought through patches of the game, look, he looked a bit out of it through the middle, especially with how Bentley were pressing with 3 against our 2, sort of in that middle section of the park. But through patches of the game, I think he was our probably biggest creative threat through the middle of the park. Obviously played in Albano for the goal, and
it was a beautiful through ball.
Beautiful through ball, and look, for me, he's just pushing his case as to why he's one of the better sort of ball players, especially coming into the league. And for me, he's been one of the joys to watch this year. He's been probably my favourite signing out of the bunch coming across.
Yeah, he's so composed under pressure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gives you a few, butterflies in the stomach when you see him kind of dwelling on the ball, and then you go, oh my God. But he almost always plays his way out of it.
Yeah,
like
correct.
there's very, very few occasions where he's been caught out, and usually there's his buddy in the back line there to sweep up after him.
And speaking of his body, I've given Brycey the 3 for the weekend. Again, you say, how can you give the centre back the 3? You caught 5 goals, but when you realistically look at it, if not for Bryce, there was potential there for probably a few more.
Yeah, he had a lot to do.
He had a lot to do, and
don't think you can really blame him for a lot of the goals. Like they came from other areas that he wasn't able to defend, or he put in a dogged effort and it went in anyway.
Yeah, no, look, and for me, he did what he could. You get put under in a couple of positions, few other defensive errors lead to a couple of goals, and once Bentley get rolling, it doesn't really take them much. We mentioned it last week. Their shooting boots have been a bit off, and they definitely had them tuned in on Friday night.
It was ruthless.
Yeah,
so
to say the least.
Without Brycey there, I shuddered to think about what the scoreline would have been.
It could have looked a bit more like a water polo score as opposed to the tennis score we ended up having. But anyways, we move on from that. Obviously, a massive game this Friday night. But Josh, with the technical difficulties, the Beer Garden banter clip from last week was a little bit distorted. So if anyone who may have missed the post that our mate Dan Pav put up of all the clips from last week, we're going to be replaying that for you tonight. So here is the Beer Garden banter from the Hellas game. Good evening, Knights fans, and welcome back to Beer Garden banter. Who are we joined by tonight, mate?
Patrick Romeo, guys. PPR Western represent. How we going?
New sponsor for the year, mate. How do you reckon we went tonight?
Mate, on fire. You can't beat it. All night, baby. Melbourne Knights for the win.
Brother, absolute pleasure. Hey, who's your favourite player tonight? I know you probably can't name him, but give us a number.
Number 18. He was a weapon all night. Hey, on fire.
On fire. Good evening, Knights fans. Who have we got joining us now?
This is Anthony Papa. I got an Anthony, and I don't believe it. My boyfriend.
Hello, everybody.
Boys, what did you think of the game tonight?
I don't know. I don't see nothing.
You don't see nothing, you?
Anthony, I see you on the hill, and you're very, very nice boy.
Oh, look, he's an interstate guest. He's also my grandmother. Great bloke. Serious, mate. How do you reckon we're going to go this year?
Well, look, if tonight's going to go by and they're going to continue this form, after Tuesday's disappointment, and I think, look, anything's possible as long as they keep up, this kind of play. Tonight was, unbelievable.
South Melbourne undefeated, not so much now, mate.
No. And we actually beat him with 10 men, so, for 20 minutes, which is a credit to our boys, and, it takes away the pain of Tuesday night, I think.
Thanks for your time, mate. Guess who we're joined by here, mate?
Stepan Gudasic.
Stepan, what did you think of the game tonight, mate?
Nah, from a North fan's perspective,
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Yeah.
Who's your best on ground tonight, mate?
You know what? I really like the way McGarry played today. It was fucking class, man.
Yeah,
Bloody
no,
class.
definitely, mate. How do you reckon we're going to go for the rest of the year, mate? Give us your tips.
Well, look, last week was a good result, I want to say.
Yeah.
All right, I felt like the boys played well. All right, obviously midweek it was a little bit disappointing. All right, but now we've bounced back. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going, and that's it. So
finals?
Oh, hopefully. You know what? From a North's perspective, you want your sister club to do well, no?
100%, mate. 100%. Look, we're getting there. I'd just like you to be a bit more confident, mate.
Yeah.
Like, we've been good so far. I want to say, when I say, hey, we're going to make finals, the only answer is yes. I'm going to ask you again, hey, we're making finals this year?
100%.
Bang, mate. We love to hear it.
Man.
Thanks for your time, mate. Good evening, Knights fans. Who we're joined by here?
Simon.
Simon, what do you reckon of the game tonight, Simon?
Oh, I thought it was brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
Brilliant?
Brilliant.
Best on ground for tonight?
Oh, I've got to give it to Dor, mate. I've got to give it to Dor.
It's pretty hard not to, mate. Debut goal. Best player for the season so far for you, mate?
Oh, tough question, mate. I've got to say Brycey, mate.
Brycey. Who's your least favourite committee member?
Least favourite committee member? Jesus. There's so many to choose from. Got to be Pave, mate.
Yeah. Mate, you need to stop that van, it looks bad.
Yeah, I won't name the van and what it's affectionately known as, but he definitely time for a bit of an upgrade, mate.
Give it up, Paul. And we're back. Some crazy scenes. Now, look, the Beer Gun and Banter will be on again this Friday, so I will be scaring the Beer Gun, looking for a couple of Knights fans to talk about what I'm sure will be a win this Friday night. If you're interested in coming to have a chat, come find me after the game. Otherwise, I'm just going to be picking people up with a microphone again, so be on lookout.
Picking people up with a microphone. Is that what you said?
Oh, look, if it happens, it happens, Josh. I mean...
You know, social club, especially after a win, it's a fertile
look, it's a happy place to be, mate.
Ground.
It's just a happy place to be. And look, I'm sure after we get the win on Friday night, it's going to be quite a good vibe.
It was absolutely buzzing on last Friday night.
Yeah, that was, look.
It was great.
Any win at home, you get a good vibe afterwards, but especially a win like that against South, it stands out, mate.
Well, I was trying to have a conversation with Joey Lynch, who was there, and we couldn't hear each other. So we had to walk all the way over to the far corner outside before we could hear each other from a metre away. It was definitely an atmosphere.
Oh, 100%. Look, for me, I absolutely love that vibe in the beer garden afterwards. You know, and this is the thing, playing Friday nights now really is, you know, probably one of the bigger nights in the weekend, you know, whereas Sunday, you know, traditionally before it was a Sunday 3 o'clock was a big kickoff, you know, even maybe a 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, you know, but now and it seems like the whole league's really jumped on the Friday nights. There weren't too many people playing on a Friday night before the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's sometimes as many as 5 simultaneous games, which is crazy.
It's absolutely nuts.
It's not ideal for the streaming, to be honest, but
no, it's not. But
you know, whoever gets the match going fans there, that's the
and look, I think that's the big one. I think since we've moved the games to Friday nights, you get that because when you're playing at Sunday at a 5 o'clock, you know, you don't, regardless of the result, you know, it's Sunday night. Everyone's got to work Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and look, some of us didn't exactly take that advice, and we'd end up at the club anyway until 10 or 11 o'clock, and
regret it the next day.
Oh, I was lucky I had trade school on Mondays, mate. Back in those days, but
you know, actually, I say it's not good for the streaming. It's not totally a bust with all those simultaneous kickoffs because I've been talking to some of my friends who are recently like taking an interest in NPL with you know, the accessibility of it so much more visible now.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they're usually kind of A-League heads or whatever, but they love it. You know, it's free. It's all over YouTube. You can be flicking between all these different games going on and checking your live score app and saying, "Oh, this one looks exciting." Flicking over to that game. So you know, it's winning over some people, especially in the age of Fox Sports and the A-League, where you're not allowed to have a simultaneous kickoff, or else the competition will fall apart or something.
Yeah, well, you know, just another one in the litany of decisions made by the people running that league that I sort of scratch my head with, but. What can you do? I think it's a really exciting time to be a fan of the NPL, Josh, of any team. Look, obviously I've got my Knights bias on, but I think it's a really, really exciting time in Victorian football going forward.
Unless you're an Altona Magic fan. Actually, no, it's definitely exciting.
It's
for
exciting.
the wrong reasons.
No, for the wrong reasons. You're going to a game going, oh, how many are we going to get up today before we capitulate?
Definitely the roller coaster of emotions is,
It's up and about.
Even more so than the Knights. Our heart goes out to the people of Paisley Park who've been put through the mill this season.
No, you know what? No sympathy, mate. We've all suffered. Everyone's suffered at some point. It's your turn now. Suck it up. Deal with it. It is what it is, mate. That's how football works. Everyone, thanks again for joining us on the show tonight. Thanks again, Josh, for being my co-host. It's always a pleasure having a chat about a bit of footy with you, mate. Thanks again to Tony Vujicic and the team down at the St Andrews Hotel for jumping on as sponsors. Hope to see you all down at Melbourne Knights and Melbourne Croatia on Friday night for what I'm sure will be an absolutely fantastic game of football.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. No idea which game I'm doing. So, fingers crossed. I might be there.
Fingers crossed. It'd be nice. Hopefully this time if you rock up, because you didn't get given a game on a Friday, you don't have to jump in the commentator's box at halftime, Josh.
Well, I'm there. Even if I'm the backup, I was basically Harry Chakaran being sent into the breach with no preparation. That was me with Josip for the South game. Wasn't my best work, to be honest.
Oh, well, look, in the end, I think it was a pretty interesting game to be called.
It was great. I wanted the game, but I didn't think I was doing it, so I did no preparation and no notes.
Honestly, you're and Josip's call on the stream. I was like, especially for that little when the players and the kids and that ran over to the fans.
Yeah,
that call
great.
was something special, mate.
Yeah, I think you guys could hear it from above you going nuts about it and saying, keep rolling. Sportscast, don't put up the graphic. No.
That's all for tonight, guys. Hope to see you all at the club on Friday night. Get up the Knights. We're winning 2-0. See you down there.
I think the Knights, their time has arrived. I think last week that 10-man performance in the preliminary final was absolutely exceptional. So I'm going for the Knights.
When you talk of Knights, it's a real fighting team.
Buskak into the back of the net. Melbourne Knights take the lead 1-0. Melbourne Knights will win the Doherty Cup.
Croatia looking for a finals berth. That's it! The Croatia fans salute the goal that could be so vital.